Hi everyone, welcome back to Full Time. Welcome back to AFTV. We've got a really good win to discuss today. We're going to be live for about half an hour, taking your comments here in the comments section. We're going to go through and break down the game from start to finish, from the starting 11 all the way through to what I think was the only last 2-3 minutes of the game I could enjoy when Smith Rowe put it in the back of the net. And I know there are a lot of comments about kind of the way we saw the game on the watch along and stuff. I just want to remind people that you're watching our reactions live, and we're on edge. We're anxious. We want Arsenal to win. We want Arsenal to perform. We want Arsenal to make it comfortable. And I know once you've seen the 90 minutes, you can have a different perspective. We're going to break it all down. Just how good were Arsenal today? What does this win mean? Have we sent a message out to the rest of the Premier League? Have we sent a message out to um, our top four rivals, our top four competition? We'll discuss all that. But I've got Bob in the comment section already saying superb result, and yeah, I agree with him. It is a superb result because of the form West Ham have been in and the teams they've beaten. And I think for us to make it look that comfortable, because I think for most of the game it was. I think we could be really impressed with that. I still think there's room for improvement, but that, of course, it's a young side. Of course, that's going to be the case. We'll discuss that. Maybe I'm still a little bit scarred by Everton. I don't know, but look, I'll try judge tonight off tonight and only tonight. But we will discuss the wider picture for Arsenal. Marlon says really hard to pick man of the match today. I agree. Let me just bring the comment section a little bit closer to me. So I can read this properly as we go along throughout the stream. Turkish will be joining us a little bit later as well. And yeah, we'll be discussing it. Apologies, guys. Normally on full time, you are able to send in your videos via the number that appears on the screen. But obviously, with everyone self-isolating, us having to make changes to content, we aren't able to do that. But we will be live on Twitter at some point tonight and Instagram over today, tomorrow, and all social platforms. So we'll be able to give you guys your chance to have your say. And of course, we're going to have fan cams coming as well. We've got Jid saying, waiting for AFTV to say it's only West Ham. No, I don't think anyone said that. I think, I think we can be pretty impressed with that performance today. Joey saying, big up man like Turkish. Agree, Turkish will be with us very soon. Uday says, room for improvement is relevant regardless of the result. Thank you, Uday. I agree with this. I agree. Let me just read that comment out again. It says, room for improvement is relevant regardless of the result. I agree. And I don't think people should get on Arsenal fans for wanting a little bit more in terms of, well, not more from tonight. I mean, just generally. I've just got feedback coming through. Cecil's in the background. I've got Cecil coming through, so I'm just going to try and. There we go. Just muted him there, so you guys probably couldn't hear him. But I could hear Cecil, who's getting ready to do some fan cams as well. So let's go. Bob says, come on, you Gunners. Harvey asks who was captain. It was Lacazette. Andreas makes a good point, says another clean sheet. And I think that's massive. That's massive for Aaron Ramsdale. We know how much it means to him to be getting the clean sheets and what it means to the defence. I think the defence was superb and absolutely deserved it. Fernando says Gabby is the man. Timor says, hello, James. Hello, Timor. Thank you. Thank you very much for your shout out. Good to see you. Minash says Xhaka loses the ball too often. I thought Xhaka did okay today, 1 or 2 moments, but I thought did well. Well, let's go through some more comments. Sal says we are the Arsenal. Zoda says Odegaard has started to be more creative. I agree with that. I agree. Odegaard is starting to show more threading it between the line kind of passes. I do agree with that. Everyone shouting out for Martinelli. Big win. What a performance. Yeah, we'll be taking your comments throughout, guys. That's what this is about. We want to be giving you your say. Sorry we can't be getting your videos, but we will be back at it once everyone is back in the studio as normal. David the Super Chat says, hi, James. Out of 10, what would you give tonight's performance? And out of 10, what would you give our season so far? Dave, what a question. That's a great question. I'd give tonight's performance. Let me know in the comment section. I'm going to say a 7 or an 8. I think an 8 because West Ham have proven they're a good side, and I know they've been on an up and down run of late, but we saw what they did to Chelsea. We saw what they did to Liverpool. They're clearly a good side. They're clearly organised, and we were pretty comfortable for most of that game. And I don't think it should go under the radar. I know they had a couple players missing, but generally they were full strength. So yeah, I'd give it. I'd give it an 8. I'd give it an 8. That second, I think I'd give the first half a 6, and I'd give the second half like an 8.5. So I'm going to pull it up to an 8. Second half was very good. I really liked some of the football we played in some tight spaces. Some of the knocking it about I thought was brilliant. But yeah, let's go through it though. Let's go all the way back to the start. To where we've got another super chat. Sorry, from Joe. Says James, who do we sub for the next game? I don't know. A lot of people saying 9s. By the way, Jeffrey says it was a 9. FC Cape Town says a 9. Nicholas says it was an 8. Ali says 8. Amir says, why do you hate Arteta? Amir, let me tell you something. People ask me why I love Arteta. So I think I'm pretty balanced on the situation because I get asked about both. 8s, 9s. Blackman says season 6 out of 10. God, I forgot to answer the question about the season. The season is a 5 for me, 5 or 6. We've still lost 6 Premier League games this season. That's far too many. We've still had too many games where we've not looked very good. But Southampton and West Ham were real improvements. On some of the football, the movement, the creativity, all that. I think we'd be really happy with that. But a lot of people saying 6. A lot of people saying 6 for the season. Someone saying 7.5 for the season. Warren asking if I think we'll get top 4. I don't think we will, but I think we can. Ton Matthew says, I think Partey was actually quality today. I think Partey did okay. Yeah, I think Partey did fine. Nick says, how good to be able to bring a player like Smith Rowe on. Yeah, we're very, very lucky with the players we've got. Some of those youngsters coming through are superb. And it's not just luck. Arteta's worked hard to bring a lot of these players through. But at the same time, sign players like Lokonga and Ben White and Ramsdale. So yeah, I think we've got a really good crop of young players. Right. Let's go into it. Let's go into the match from the start. I thought, obviously, the 11 comes out. It's unchanged from Southampton, which was unchanged from Everton. And that was a shock on Saturday when we found that out. But I thought Arsenal today I thought Arteta did the right thing going with the same team. It's what I would have wanted to see. Probably Lokonga over Xhaka, if I'm being honest. But I understand he loves Xhaka, and I get the role that Xhaka does in that team. I thought the first half. Let me know. Send in your comments, guys, on just the first half. I got a lot of criticism after the Southampton game, where I said we were poor the first half. Southampton were just really bad at the back, and so we created a lot of chances and actually looked like we had a better first half than we really did. I think today's first half, if I'm breaking it down, I think on the ball, possession, passing it around, whipping it, having a bit of pace to our game, brilliant. That was really good. I think our press was good as well. I think our defence was fantastic, swept up really, really, really nicely. I still think, whilst there were better interchanges in the final third, there were better 1-2s, knocking it, movement. That was definitely better. We definitely pulled them apart better. I did feel we still weren't creating that chance. I think it opened up for Xhaka, but really they kind of blocked off that space quite comfortably. Tierney hit the crossbar, but that's a speculative effort, though a very good effort. Lacazette's efforts kind of spilled and Martinelli nearly gets there. But these are what I call, they're not half chances. They're kind of 7 out of 10 chances. I don't think, and the example I'd use in that second half when Martinelli does well to beat his man and put it into the box, low into the box, and Saka, has it blocked essentially. Fabianski might be saving, he has it blocked and it just goes outside the post. That for me is what I call a really good chance. And I've seen Arsenal over the years, not recently, but you think back to some of the Wenger days and some of our best football under Arteta or Emery, which has been infrequent, but we have seen some good performances. It's when Arsenal are creating chance after chance after chance like that. It's when, and I know that's maybe just unlikely in the Premier League, and maybe that's unfair to expect against the West Ham side, who have been very good and have been top 4 contenders this season for a reason, and have been a very resolute side. But I just, this is what I mean with Arsenal. Can you create those chances where you're really head in hands moment thinking, oh my God, we could have done something there. And I think tonight we saw more of that in the second half than the first half for me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being harsh. But look, of course I'm happy with tonight's performance. And to beat West Ham is impressive. Alexander says, we're not a top 4 team. The positive is that after the summer overhaul, we have 7 to 8 young players who can make the team competitive in 2 to 3 years. However, we're not there and it will have to be a process. That's fair enough. ABT says, do you think there's a possibility of no fans in stadiums or even voiding the season due to the pandemic? Also, the first time in a while, they didn't get stressed that game. I've never been Arteta out, by the way. No, fair enough, ABT. I think we're all Arsenal in. We all want Arsenal to win in the end. So whatever you feel about the manager, it just ultimately doesn't matter. We just want Arsenal winning games. To answer your question, the possibility of no fans in stadiums. Look, I'm no expert. I feel like that could be a possibility. I think they could do a circuit breaker where they do have a few games without fans in grounds, or maybe significantly limit the amount of fans in the grounds. But we'll see. And then voiding the season, no, I don't think so. I think there's so much ability to test, ability to try and manage the situation. I don't think they'll void the season personally. Let's go to the next super chat. We've got Black Caesar says Xhaka is slow and he has mistakes in him, like the one time he dallied, but he brings control and incisive forward passing and dig in better when we need to defend. Lokonga will have his time. I think that's a good summary. He is slow. He does have mistakes in him, but he does bring a degree of control on the ball sometimes. He does bring a degree of control in midfield. And I agree, his incisive forward passing is an asset. I think we saw some of that today. Jay Gunafan TV says, haven't seen quite an impact player like Smith Rowe since Bergkamp days. We can go on a winning run against Leeds, Norwich, Wolves before we face Man City at home. I really hope we can. Leeds will be expecting a response after what happened last night against Man City. But then you've got to be honest. I know Arsenal tend to restart seasons for other teams sometimes, but this is a good time to play Leeds. That's the reality of it. Evan says Martinelli is a god. We probably won't make top 4, but tonight is a huge result. Smith Rowe, you can't beat him. Ramsdale, Savage, haven't been this impressed in years. Fair enough, man. Look, honestly, tonight there was a lot to enjoy about this performance. I agree. I think enjoy it because we did, we're in the top 4 tonight. How long for, we don't know, but we can definitely enjoy it. Saw a comment saying cheats. I guess I might be on the penalty situation. We will discuss that when we go into the second half. Got a few more super chats coming in now. FM Shake says, losing Laka over Xhaka all in a year potentially is concerning. Let's not underestimate how important they are to our squad. We may have Europe next season and need them around. Sumia says, loved the Arteta press today. What do you think? When you say press, do you mean press conference or do you mean, well, I don't know what he said after the game, or do you mean press in terms of, obviously trying to win the ball back quickly? I imagine you probably mean that. I thought today we were very good off the ball. Off the ball, I thought we were absolutely superb, I have to say. MRM says, oh my God, you're actually moaning. Wow, I was joking. You lot embarrassing. I don't know what MRM is referring to there. Dev says, bro, you moaned the entire game by saying overcoaching, etc. James, bro, you were so rational before. Don't let AFTV get you with the agenda. Oh, Dev. Dev, I wasn't moaning, but okay. Fair enough. About first half, I don't think I might have used the word overcoaching once or twice. I felt in the first half we did a lot of things that look nice, and in reality we weren't. Not that we weren't doing much. For all the good we did in the first half, which I think there was a lot in terms of the press, in terms of some of the passing and movement, the interplay, all that, I still felt we weren't quite creating enough for my liking. I think we were getting into better areas, but we weren't necessarily getting shots away. We weren't necessarily, I think somewhere here, I've got the numbers. Let me have a little look. I've got the stats here. Right. So, in fairness, it's more than in the second half. In the first half, Oh no, it's not. No, I lie. So the second half we had 5 shots on target. In the first half we had 3. It's not a lot in it. The 3 shots on target, of which one of them I think was a block by blocked by Xhaka. The other was saved by Fabianski. They kind of spilled it. For me, for the amount we had the ball, and I've got it here, we had 56% of the possession. We outpassed them, not by a lot, but we did outpass them by 50. I expect us to create a few more chances, but that's just my opinion. It's fair enough if you feel differently. But we did fine. I said we did okay. I said it was a good half. That half, obviously, we do see Tierney hit the post. I thought he did well. I thought the back four I said were brilliant. We're going to the second half, and what a start! I mean, Martinelli gets his goal. I think he deserved. I think Lacazette deserved the assist. I thought he was linking up play and just doing so well outside the box. In terms of linking up play, in terms of using his body, in terms of leading. He was leading. He was wearing the armband, winning fouls. He was doing all the kind of nastiness you want to see. If he's hurt, I think he's exaggerating a little bit to buy his team time, to give the referee a decision to make, all these things. I thought Lacazette was superb, and he absolutely deserved that assist for Martinelli. I mean, what a finish. A lot of people comparing it to Henry, and it was the run off the left, the touch to take him in between two, because when the pass is made, he's not quite got the run on both. It's the touch that really takes him away. And then to finish it the way he did was absolutely superb. Barista says, give Arteta credit. Yeah, I think we've got to talk about Arteta. I think the team was superb today. Sanjay says, James, absolutely love your insight and dissection of games. I support our manager because I believe that once he gets the strikers in midfield that he needs, then we'll be cooking. Come on, you Gunners. I do think there's definitely an element to that. I think there's an element to when Arteta gets even more of his players in terms of a striker and a midfielder, then it will really all come together as a final package. Remember, we need to see some of these players in a couple of years' time as well. I've said for a while that we're kind of on the right track. It's just about whether we're going down that track quickly enough. Based God says, "No, mate, you're waffling. West Ham play very compact. It's difficult to create chances against them." You know what? It's a really good point. I'm not going to disagree with that. I think that's true. I think it maybe is unrealistic to expect to create that many chances against West Ham. So, yeah, fair enough. Do you know what? It's a fair point. You're changing my kind of thoughts on that. Amir says, don't forget West Ham beat Chelsea, Liverpool. Give Arteta credit. Yeah, we've not got to it yet. How far into the show are we? 20 minutes. I've just not got to the Arteta stuff yet. Let's go through some other super chats. Eric says, 2 things changed after the Everton disaster. Play, the reliance on position play using Xhaka and Tierney has shifted, and Xhaka's played closer to Partey. Also, Lacazette stayed up more. Eric, you're absolutely spot on, because we're going to go through this in the Tactical Insight show. But that's a really good point. Xhaka was much closer to Partey. The evidence is there as well when you look at the average positions map. There's a nice balance to the team in terms of positioning. I completely agree. Saleh is saying something that I think a lot of us are feeling, don't want to admit. Arteta's got me flip-flopping week in, week out. And yeah, I absolutely understand that. Harding says, this was a good match, but we need to push on from here and pray other teams with a match in hand lose or draw. Big up the AFTV family. Thank you very, very much. Anwesh says, there is nothing called creativity when you face a well-drilled team like West Ham. It's about matching them physically, moving the ball quickly and force them to make errors. Anwesh, another really good point. Don't disagree with that. I think you make a good point. Dev says, the issue is of you rewatch the watch along. It felt like you were wanting us to play it bad, just being honest. Dev, I can't, with all due respect, I can't re-entertain that. You saying that you think it gives the impression that we want Arsenal to play badly. I think we need to remember Everton was a really, really bad result for us. And Arsenal is still quite far off where they need to be as a football club. So I'm watching these games with a bit of anxiety, with a bit of, and maybe at the time I'm sitting there thinking, why are we not doing it? Maybe I'm impatient. Maybe come on, Arsenal, come on, make something happen. And then after I go, you know what, that wasn't so bad. Sometimes sometimes you watch a movie and you're kind of taking it all in, and when you rewatch, you go, actually, that was better than I thought, and maybe that was it for me. So yeah, Jay Goonfan TV says need a solid 11 and impact subs on the bench, like the top 3 clubs in future. Can see long-term starters except Laka, Xhaka, Partey, and other unwanted players. I think Partey's got a long-term future here. I mean, I know he's maybe 28, but I still think he'll be playing another 3, 4, 5 years, if I'm honest. Let's talk about the second half, because I thought Arsenal really came to life in the second half in terms of making our possession count a little bit more, making what we were doing on the ball a little bit more effective. You could say West Ham tired. You could say that the sending off around 70 minutes helped, and sure, that might all be a part of it. I felt Arsenal in that final third in the second half, that incisiveness, that run from Martinelli and that pass from Lacazette. I don't think we saw that in the first half. We saw some nice movement between Saka and Odegaard. We saw some nice spaces being picked up, but that was a really lovely run and pick out, and it's brilliant. And actually, a really good point was made there that, West Ham are not going to give you that many opportunities, and when you do get it, take it. And Arsenal did. And yeah, in fairness, I probably was a little bit harsh about how much we were creating, but in that second half, that run from Martinelli is superb. What a finish! He deserved it. I thought he was brilliant. I thought Lacazette was terrific. I'm glad to see us scoring a goal that just felt like an opportunity and an opening came, and we took advantage of it. It didn't feel overly calculated. It didn't feel like something off the training field. It felt like players showing their instinctive nature, and real killers in Lacazette and Martinelli going, space has opened up, let's execute it, let's take advantage. And I felt we did really well there. I really enjoyed that goal. It was a terrific goal. And then obviously we get the penalty. And I didn't know how to judge this one. I was sort of saying VAR didn't overturn it. So they clearly think there's something in there. I think Soufal has got the ball, but not enough of it. And I think he's too high. And so I think it's a penalty. But I don't think it's a second yellow. That feels really harsh, if I'm honest. I think you can punish that and say, look, it's not a controlled enough tackle for me to not give it a foul, so it's a penalty. But a second yellow and then a red, that feels really, really harsh for what I perceive to have happened in that moment. Let me know. It feels harsh. But we get it. Lacazette misses. It's a real shame. He deserved that. And I think Arsenal deserved the second goal. I think Arsenal needed the second goal. I know there's a degree to which Arsenal need to manage the game, calm things down, relax. And I think Arsenal did that, and I think they managed it okay. But West Ham still went down to 10 men, had a little too much of the ball for my liking. For about 5 or 10 minutes, I felt like we weren't really harassing them the way we should. But in fairness, it's a busy December schedule. Arsenal have a lot of games to come. Maybe they knew with 10 men they couldn't really do too much damage. But we then start to get on the ball a little bit more. There's some nice football being played. Definitely thought we could have got a third. But Smith Rowe, I've got to give credit. What a goal. What I like about it is just one back between Smith Rowe and Saka. And Saka picks a lovely ball to Smith Rowe, does it quickly. Now, if you watch my reaction to it, you hear me shout, what are you doing, Saka? Because I feel like he's running into Smith Rowe's space and it's opening up for his left foot. And I'm thinking, oh my God, don't close into his space. But in fairness, you watch it back on repeat. Remember, guys, we're watching it on small screens here at home. But what I liked about it was, clearly Saka wasn't as close to Smith Rowe as I first thought. And it's a really good left-footed strike. It's just what you want to see from your midfielders. It's driving into space. If a better pass isn't on, you hit it and you hit it well. It's a really good finish on his weaker foot. Well done, Smith Rowe. He's added goals to his game. The number 10 shirt has no weight on him. He's been absolutely terrific, and I'm delighted for him. And he brought good energy. I wasn't sure if bringing him on for Odegaard was the right thing because I felt we might lose a little bit of control in midfield. But what we gained was energy and dynamism and drive. And he deserved that. I thought he was fantastic. Alexander Super Chat says, the idea of flip-flopping is gas. You can only make opinions on the evidence in front of you. Honestly, James, ignore those popping up to criticise. Thank you, Alexander. I appreciate that. Notorious says, here's a thought. Instead of buying a striker in January, maybe replace Aubameyang with Martinelli. I think he could become a world-class striker. A lot of people feel that. I think Martinelli is a better winger personally, but he might make it as a striker. So I'm getting distracted by other comments I'm seeing. GRR says, James, what was wrong with Arteta getting Martinelli, who had cramp, back on the pitch to get the game stopped instead of a 10v10? Yeah, again, GRR, just remember, we're watching it in the moment. We haven't got commentary. We're commenting what we're seeing at the time. At the time, I'm seeing a lot of shouting. I'm seeing a lot of, pretty forceful shouting at Martinelli, who, and by the way, guys, even if it's cramp, it's still pain. People like to say cramp, well, it's only cramp. No, cramp really hurts. So, if Martinelli's down, I would just like to see our manager try and care for the player who's down more so than just try and, lump him back on the pitch. Even if it is, we had the ball. I don't think we needed to. I don't know. But anyway, maybe not worth going into. We've broken down all the key moments from the games. We've got Turkish, who's just done his fan account. That will be up very, very soon. Let's just get his final super chats. Dev says, Saka was so good, though. I agree. He was brilliant. Karam says, no successful team in football history with cool captain. Saka worth at least 100 million. Xhaka, box-to-box player. He was a box-to-box player today. He says, we must win the next 3 league games. I agree. Let's bring Turkish in, guys. Turkish is back. Turkish, I'm going to be honest with you. Still a few people, and it might just be comment section trolling, whatever, saying, that was our performance of the season. Why are you being so negative? Why this, that, and the other? I'm going to put my hands up. Maybe when you don't have commentary, and you don't hear the roar of the crowd, and you don't hear, maybe you do just see it from a flatter perspective, maybe you do. Maybe you don't, you see a chance and it's not met with a come on and all that. So maybe you see it for what it was, just that chance and not everything else around it. Maybe you miss out on certain things. Someone asked me why I was getting annoyed at Arteta for shouting at Martinelli. Well, because I didn't know it was cramp, did I?
Yeah.
But I stand by that in that first half, for all the good we did on the ball and the press and the defending, I still think we lack a little tiny bit when it comes to really opening teams up. But maybe West Ham are just good. What do you think?
That, you know what, you kind of summed up well. I didn't really take into account, obviously, watching the game without commentary and the effect that can play on it. And you are right, you see it for what it is instead of kind of riding the wave of the chance, maybe, or the wave of the pressure. I actually agree. It's probably our performance of the season as well. I actually agree with that. But it doesn't mean run away with it and act like, everything's rosy. At the same time, we've got to continue game by game, getting the points. The next big one is Man City 1st of January. In all honesty, we should be getting 9 in between. From now, we got the hardest job done following that Everton loss. After the Everton loss, I looked at the West Ham game and I said to myself, if we're going to drop points in the next 5, let it be a draw with West Ham. Yeah, we've gone on and beat them comfortably. And what I'm impressed about today is against Southampton, we had 20 minutes where we were so poor. Today, we didn't even have 5 minutes where we were so poor. The first half frustrated me because we were onto them. They wasn't offering much, but until the latter stages of the first half, we didn't really create as much as we really should have. But we started creating at the end of the first half, and bang, credit to Arteta, because the second half, we start on that same foot that we left the first half on. So today, yes, I agree, best all-round performance of the season. And if you look at West Ham, Leicester, Tottenham, we've got wins against the sides where we thought would be challenging, the sides who we thought we'd be challenging with for potentially top 4, potentially top 6, whatever people thought at the beginning of the season. I think we can enjoy it. We can definitely enjoy tonight. But at the same time, 3 points is 3 points and it's on to the next one. You can't enjoy it too much. Listen, you can't compare us, but at the same time, how many times in the past have you seen maybe Man City win a game, but Pep come on the pitch fuming at a player or angry, and there's a bit of an exchange going on, and it's like fans all of a sudden turn into Pep and saying, "Oh, you're negative," but it's about wanting the best and demanding the best, and at Arsenal Football Club we're so far from it. that it's about raising the standards and getting back up to where I believe we should be. I think you believe we should be, James, and a lot of fans believe we should be. So it's all a balance at the end of the day. Today, nothing to complain about.
Can I level with you? I think that the Man United game, I think we played some really good football and we lost. The Everton game, we didn't. We were really poor. And that one hurt. I think I've just seen, even Palace, where we started that game really well, we had a lot of the ball, but we ended up drawing that game. I think I'm sort of a little bit scarred, is a really kind of horrible way of putting it. I think I'm a little bit, how do I put it? Like my expectation of Arsenal is that actually we do move the ball around. We do press quite well. We do defend quite nicely. All these things I was watching today that looked good. I've kind of actually seen that this season. So where I'm sort of less impressed than I probably was, like that first half was better than the first half against Man United. That whole game, that whole performance was much better than Man United. Now, obviously, because we won, we kept a clean sheet. But if you're talking about just passages of play and what we did on the ball, but I was probably more praising of the Man United performance. But then after Everton and after I've seen where this kind of gets us sometimes, I'm just a little bit like, it might sound harsh, I'm kind of bored of it unless there's like an end product now. And in that first half, I was seeing a lot of good things. But again, if I was to ask people what really good clear-cut chances, that first half was really, really good. What clear-cut chances did we create in that first half? You could say Xhaka, but that was blocked, so that wasn't clear-cut. You could say Martinelli on the follow-up. So, the answer is not many. And I know West Ham are solid and they're compact and they make it difficult, and I understand that. But this is just where I just want people to understand where I'm not saying. Whereas second half, I thought we created a lot more. I look at, we've come out with points against Brighton, for example. And against Brighton, we drew 0-0, but they probably had like 5, 6, 7 clear-cut chances. And that's kind of what I mean. That's where they, in that first half of that game, and I know I'm asking people to cast their minds back a long time, but that's a game where you think they really could have had a few there. And I didn't come out of this first half, or I didn't go into half-time thinking, oh, we could be 3-4-0 up. There was a lot I really liked. There was a lot I was impressed about. There was a lot about the game plan I enjoyed. But I wasn't sitting there thinking we could be 3-4-0 up. Second half, it was better. There was better incisiveness. And I think the first half showed it. The first goal showed it.
Yeah, listen, all in all, first half, I wanted to see some more chances created. Second half, they created more chances. That's it. That is literally, I say best all-round performance because West Ham pose a threat.
Yeah.
West Ham, are a decent team. And even though we didn't create chances in that first half, they didn't create chances in the first half either. And they wasn't even close to. So I've got to give Arteta credit. I've got to give the side credit. And 2 clean sheets off the back of those 3 away losses out of the 4 games, I think, is the perfect way to bounce back. Southampton, we all thought it's a poor Southampton side. Let's see what West Ham's about. We've got the job done against West Ham. Now let's go get the job done in the next 3 games, and then see out the year in good fashion.
5 goals, 2 clean sheets, 6 points. I don't think we've been playing with that. I'm going to take some super chats. I'm going to ask you a question. Get says, who would you choose to be the Arsenal captain? Just quickly, who would you go for?
Penny.
Jay Gooner Fan TV says, is Martinelli better as an inside forward or just a winger? I think he's good enough to play both. I get what you mean. That goal he scored was an inside forwards run. We've seen Sterling do that a lot for City. That run where he's wide and he darts in. It's brilliant. DJ says, great win, but we need wins now too. Come on, you Gunners, agree. And Mukti says, I want Martinelli to take pens. He is confident. Yeah, I reckon he'd be a good penalty taker. My question was going to be about Mikel Arteta.
Yeah.
He's made 3 really bold decisions since he's come into the. Well, he's made a lot because you talk Ozil, Guendouzi, all that. But he's made 3 in particular before big games. 1 before the North London derby with Aubameyang, 1 before Southampton again with Aubameyang, and then another before West Ham today. And remember, Southampton's big because it was a must-win for him after Everton. And another one today where obviously we find out yesterday that the captaincy's been stripped. And he's had really, really good responses from the team for all three of those things. Does that kind of tell you that he's got it right?
What the decision with Oba?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think regardless of how they reacted, I think it was the right decision. But you know what? You can see that there's belief in Arteta from the players, and there's belief in what he can produce. Even in times when we're performing badly, there's never no suggestion about downing tools. You can always see the players trying. It's just sometimes it looks tactically unaware at times. But the players keep on, bouncing back, and Arteta keeps on bouncing back. And hopefully one of these bounce backs leads to a run of games where we're not talking about another bounce back. We're talking about, do you remember that year we wanted him out and looking at ourselves foolishly? That would be an ideal scenario.
And everyone who's in the comments now, you guys just want to moan. You guys, we want to be proven wrong. We want this to go right. I cannot be bothered, although I'd have to be. I cannot be bothered for another manager and another process and another direction. I want this to work right now with Mikel Arteta. Results like tonight, brilliant. Love it. And I've been defending him a lot when people say, what's his style of play? What's he trying to do? I've been trying to bloody explain. Watch Tactical Insight. I've been trying to explain it to people. I get what he's trying to do. My question has always been whether he's got the quality. Now, he's made some big decisions that I've agreed with. I've liked. I've really appreciated his stance on certain things. And I really like the performances we've got in response. And I like what we're doing at home this season. I do. And actually, that is a key thing. Getting your home wins is key. So let's build on it. Any final thoughts, Turkish? I know you did your fan cam. We'll just take some super chats before we round up as well.
No, I'm just happy, man. Fourth, and then we've got 3 very winnable games to see out the year. Listen, just take it one game at a time. We get 9 points out of the next 9, and we'll be in an even stronger position than we are now. And then we can think about Man City on the 1st of January when it comes.
Oh, if we can get 15 out of 15 points, that'd be special. Mukti says, I want you lot to talk about pens. Missed 3 on the run. Yeah. Well, what's there talk about? We missed it. Penalties get missed.
Yeah, we need a striker. He'll come in and take the penalties, hopefully.
Pens get missed. We've seen Aubameyang score some really important ones. FA Cup final, Old Trafford. We've seen him score some big ones. Lacazette is Mr. Reliable. I think that's his first ever penalty miss, for Arsenal. So it just happens. I don't.
And Pepe's never on the pitch to take them, so. And
he's probably our best taker.
Yeah.
Swally says, time to change penalty taker. That's what he's asking. No, I think leave it to Lacazette if he's on the pitch. Zar says, says we have solid youngsters, but Marte seems to be the one with that potential X factor star quality. Yeah, I agree with that. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. We mentioned it in the stream as well. He just has that nutmeg. Forget the finish and the run and all that for a second. The nutmeg after, and I think it was Souček. It was just naughty. It was just, again, I said the finish was Henry-esque. That nutmeg was Henry-esque as well. He was just brazen with it.
He's an entertainer, isn't he? Honestly. Well, look, I think, guys, that wraps up full time. Again, apologies. We are normally, live getting your thoughts via the phone number and the videos you send in. We couldn't do that today for obvious reasons. As you can see, we're all homebound. But wherever you are in the world, I hope you're keeping safe, looking after yourself. Everything's a bit mad here in the UK, especially in London. But of course, we are following all COVID guidelines, and we will be back in the studio as soon as possible. But stay safe, everyone. Turkish, thanks so much for joining. We'll catch up tomorrow, I'm sure. And everyone in the comments section, please, if I can leave you with one thing, guys, we're happy. we are happy we won. And well done, Arsenal. A really good 3 points. A really needed 3 points.
Yeah.
But let's build on it because the job is far from done. But that's something to build on. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
Love.